The video was 17 seconds long. I must have watched it 200 times that first night, sitting alone in my apartment in Boise, Idaho, the blue light of my phone screen the only thing illuminating the room. My daughter, Josephine, now 12 years old, was signing directly into the camera. Her hands moved with a fluency I did not recognize, forming words and phrases that made no sense to me at first. Then I understood what she was saying, and my whole body went cold. My name is Webb Sunderland. I am 44 years old. I work as a machinist at a fabrication plant outside Boise, making $23 an hour, living in a one-bedroom apartment that costs too much for what it is. 5 years ago, I had a house, a family, a daughter who called me daddy in the only language she knew. Now I have a phone full of memories and a video that is about to change everything. Let me back up. Josephine was born deaf. Completely, profoundly deaf, the result of a genetic condition that neither my ex-wife, Renata, nor I knew we carried. We found out when she was 14 months old, when she was not responding to sounds the way other babies did. The diagnosis hit Renata hard. Harder than it hit me, I think. She came from a family that valued perfection, that saw disability as something to be fixed or hidden. Her mother, a woman named Opaline, who I despised from the moment I met her, actually suggested we put Josephine in an institution. "She'll never be normal," Opaline said. "Why torture yourselves?" I told her to get out of my house and never come back. But Renata heard those words differently than I did. She did not see them as cruel, she saw them as practical. That should have been my first warning. I threw myself into learning sign language. Spent every night after work studying ASL, practicing with videos, hiring tutors when I could afford them. By the time Josephine was 3, I could have full conversations with her. By the time she was 5, I was fluent. Renata never learned. She tried in the beginning. Took a class, bought some books, but she gave up after a few months, said it was too hard, said Josephine would just have to learn to read lips and speak like a normal person. "She's not broken," I told her once. "She doesn't need to be fixed." Renata looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language, which, in a way, I was. The marriage fell apart slowly, then all at once. By 2019, we were strangers living in the same house. Renata had started spending more time with her mother, absorbing Opaline's poison, looking at our daughter with something that was not quite love and not quite hate, but somewhere in between. She asked for a divorce in March of that year. "I want full custody," she said. Josephine needs stability, a real home, not a father who works 60 hours a week and comes home smelling like machine oil. "You don't even know how to talk to her, Renata." "I'll learn. Besides, she's starting at that special school in the fall. They'll teach her everything she needs." The special school, a residential program in Oregon that Opaline had found, one that promised to teach deaf children to integrate into hearing society. I had looked into it. The methods were outdated, borderline abusive. They discouraged sign language, forced children to focus on lip reading and oral speech, punished them for using their hands to communicate. I fought the custody, fought it hard, but Renata had her mother's money behind her, had lawyers I could not afford to match, had a judge who looked at my work schedule and my tiny apartment and decided that a mother's love was more important than a father who could actually communicate with his child. I lost full custody to Renata. Visitation rights for me every other weekend, supervised. The last time I saw Josephine in person, she was 7 years old. She was crying, signing so fast I could barely keep up. "Daddy, don't let them take me. Daddy, please." I held her tight and promised I would fix this, promised I would find a way. Then Renata's lawyer pulled her away, and that was it. 3 months later, Renata moved to Oregon, changed her phone number, stopped responding to my emails, blocked me on every platform. She disappeared with my daughter, and there was nothing I could do. For 5 years, I heard nothing. 5 years of wondering if Josephine was okay. 5 years of imagining the worst. 5 years of waking up in the middle of the night, reaching for a child who was not there. Then, 3 weeks ago, I received a video message from an unknown number. 17 seconds of my daughter, now 12 years old, signing into her phone camera. I watched it once and did not understand. I watched it twice and started shaking. I watched it a third time and realized that everything I thought I knew was wrong. The video started simply. Josephine was sitting in what looked like a bedroom, plain walls, a window behind her, nothing distinctive. She had grown so much in 5 years. Taller, her face more defined, her auburn hair longer than I remembered. But her eyes were the same. Those deep brown eyes that had looked at me with such trust when she was small. She raised her hands and began to sign. "Daddy, I remember you. I know you tried to save me. They told me you didn't want me anymore, but I never believed them." My breath caught in my throat. She remembered. After 5 years of whatever lies Renata had been feeding her, she still remembered. But then the message changed. "Mommy doesn't know I'm sending this. She thinks I forgot how to sign. I pretend at school. I pretend everywhere. But I practice alone at night so I don't forget you." My eyes were blurring with tears. This child, this brilliant child, had been hiding her language for 5 years just to hold on to me. Then came the part that made my hands shake. "Daddy, I need to tell you something important. Something I saw. Mommy and grandmother think I don't understand. Because I'm deaf, they talk in front of me like I'm furniture, but I can read lips now. And I saw them talking about the money from the fire, the money from the fire. What fire? They burned down grandmother's old house for the insurance. I saw the papers. I saw Mommy's boyfriend help them. His name is Carver. He's bad, Daddy. He hurts me sometimes when Mommy isn't looking. Please, come get me. Please." The video ended. I sat in the darkness of my apartment, staring at my phone, trying to process what I had just seen. My 12-year-old daughter had just told me that her mother and grandmother had committed arson for insurance money. That she had witnessed it, or at least seen evidence of it. That she was being abused by someone named Carver. And she had done it all in sign language, a language they thought she had forgotten, a language they believed made her invisible. This was not possible. A child could not know these things, could not understand insurance fraud, or arson, or any of it, unless she was telling the truth. I watched the video again, studied her hands, her face, her eyes, looking for any sign that she was lying, that this was some kind of trick or misunderstanding. I saw none. What I saw was fear, real, genuine fear. The fear of a child who had no one else to turn to. I needed help. I needed someone who could verify what I was seeing, who could confirm that the signs she was using meant what I thought they meant. Someone with credentials, with authority, someone whose word would carry weight if this ever went to court. The next morning, I called Boise State University and asked to speak with someone in their sign language department. Dr. Lacey Emberton called me back 2 hours later. She was a professor of deaf studies, had been teaching ASL for over 20 years, had written books and published papers, and was considered one of the leading experts in the field. "Mr. Sunderland, how can I help you?" "I need you to look at a video. It's my daughter. She's deaf and she sent me a message in sign language, and I need to make sure I'm understanding it correctly." "Is this for a legal matter?" I hesitated. "It might be." "Then you should know that I can provide expert testimony if needed. My rates are reasonable. I don't care about the cost. I just need to know the truth." We met at her office that afternoon, a small room in the education building, filled with books and posters about deaf culture. Dr. Emberton was in her 50s, with graying hair and kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. I handed her my phone. "Watch it," I said. "Please." She pressed play. I watched her face as she watched the video, watched her expression shift from professional interest to confusion to something I could not identify. She watched it again, then she set down the phone and looked at me. "Mr. Sunderland, where did you get this?" "My daughter sent it to me 3 days ago." "How old is she?" 12. Dr. Emberton was quiet for a long moment. The signing in this video is fluent, native level fluent. Whoever taught your daughter ASL did an exceptional job. I taught her, before the divorce. You haven't seen her in 5 years? Her mother took her. Cut off all contact. Dr. Emberton picked up the phone again, watched the video a third time. Mr. Sunderland, do you understand what your daughter is describing? She's saying her mother committed arson, that there's someone hurting her. Yes, but there's more than that. She pointed at the screen. These signs here, these phrases about seeing documents and understanding legal concepts like insurance fraud. Most 12-year-olds wouldn't have this vocabulary. Most adults wouldn't. What are you saying? I'm saying that either your daughter is exceptionally intelligent and has been exposed to information far beyond her years, or... She trailed off. Or what? Or she's not the one who composed this message. I stared at her. You think someone else wrote it? Made her memorize it? I don't know what to think, but the level of sophistication here is remarkable, almost impossible for a child her age. Dr. Emberton stood up. I need to show this to someone else, a colleague who specializes in forensic linguistics. Is that all right with you? Yes, whatever it takes. She made a phone call. 20 minutes later, a man named Dr. Ruben Estrada walked into the office. He was younger than Dr. Emberton, maybe 40, with an intense expression and quick movements. She showed him the video. He watched it once, then again, then a third time. When he looked up, his face had gone pale. Where did this come from? His daughter, Dr. Emberton said. She's 12. Dr. Estrada shook his head slowly. That's not possible. What do you mean? The grammatical structures she's using here, the way she constructs these sentences about insurance fraud and evidence and legal culpability, this isn't how a child signs. This isn't even how most adults sign. He looked at me. Mr. Sunderland, your daughter is either a linguistic prodigy the likes of which I've never encountered, or she has access to information that someone desperately doesn't want anyone to know about. Why would that make you pale? Dr. Estrada and Dr. Emberton exchanged a glance. Because, Dr. Estrada said slowly, if what she's saying is true, then she's not just a witness to a crime. She's evidence of one. And whoever committed that crime is going to realize eventually that she knows. My blood went cold. She's in danger. If this is real, yes. Dr. Estrada picked up my phone. We need to call the police, right now. The Boise Police Department was not equipped to handle this. That is not a criticism. They were helpful, professional, took my statement seriously. But what Josephine had described involved potential arson, insurance fraud, child abuse, and possibly more. Crimes that spanned state lines that required resources beyond what a local department could provide. Detective Alma Vickers was the one who made the call. Mr. Sunderland, I'm going to contact the FBI. This is federal territory. Insurance fraud across state lines, potential wire fraud, child endangerment. They have jurisdiction. How long will that take? I don't know, but I promise you, we're going to take this seriously. I wanted to scream. My daughter was in danger, and the system was asking me to wait. But I had no choice. 3 days later, 2 FBI agents showed up at my apartment. Special Agent Miriam Solis and Special Agent Donovan Krebs. They were serious, professional, and very interested in the video. Mr. Sunderland, we've been in contact with our field office in Oregon, Agent Solis said. We've done some preliminary research on the individuals your daughter mentioned. What did you find? She opened a folder. Opaline Chesick, your ex-mother-in-law, owned a property in rural Lane County, Oregon. The house burned down in December of 2021. Insurance payout was $1.4 million. I felt sick. Josephine said they burned it down deliberately. That's what we're investigating. The original fire was ruled accidental, electrical fault, but your daughter's statement raises questions. What about Carver, the man she said was hurting her? Agent Krebs took over. Carver Blunt. He's been living with your ex-wife for approximately 2 years. Has a record. Nothing violent, mostly small-time fraud and theft, but the pattern suggests escalation. Pattern? Men like Carver don't start with children, Mr. Sunderland. They work their way there. If your daughter is telling the truth, then he's been building toward this for a while. I wanted to find this man. Wanted to drive to Oregon and do something I would regret. But Agent Solis must have read my face. Mr. Sunderland, let us handle this. If you interfere, you could jeopardize the case, and more importantly, you could put Josephine at greater risk. She's already at risk. We know, and we're moving as fast as we can. It took 2 weeks, 2 weeks of waiting, pacing, barely sleeping, 2 weeks of watching that video over and over, studying my daughter's face, trying to send her strength across the miles. Then Agent Solis called. We're executing a warrant tomorrow morning. Oregon State Police will assist. We'd like you to be on standby in case Josephine needs a familiar face. I drove through the night. 13 hours from Boise to the small town in Oregon where Renata had been hiding with my daughter. I arrived at dawn, parked at the designated meeting point, and waited. At 6:47 a.m., I watched a convoy of police vehicles drive past me toward a house I had never seen. At 7:12 a.m., I received a text from Agent Solis. Josephine is safe. She's asking for you. I drove to the staging area so fast I probably broke a dozen traffic laws. They had set up a command post in a church parking lot, about a mile from the house. Police cars everywhere, officers moving with purpose, and standing near an ambulance wrapped in a blanket, looking smaller than I remembered. Josephine. I was out of my truck before it fully stopped. She saw me coming. Her eyes went wide, and then she was running toward me and I was running toward her, and we collided somewhere in the middle. I held my daughter for the first time in 5 years. She was shaking, crying, her hands moving against my back, signing even though I could not see the words. I pulled back just enough to look at her face. I'm here, I signed. I'm here. You're safe now. I knew you would come, she signed back. I knew you still loved me. Always, 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 always. We stood there in that parking lot, surrounded by police and FBI agents and chaos, and none of it mattered. My daughter was in my arms. Everything else could wait. The arrests happened quickly. Renata was taken into custody at the house, still in her bathrobe, screaming about her rights and her lawyers and how this was all a misunderstanding. Opaline was arrested at her apartment in Eugene an hour later. Carver Blunt tried to run and made it about 3 blocks before a state trooper tackled him into a hedge. All 3 were charged with multiple felonies: arson, insurance fraud, wire fraud, and for Carver, 3 counts of child abuse. The investigation revealed everything Josephine had described and more. The fire at Opaline's property had been deliberately set. An accelerant was used, gasoline poured in the basement, and along the first-floor walls. The original investigation had missed it because the fire had been so thorough, but with fresh eyes and Josephine's testimony pointing them in the right direction, the forensic team found trace evidence that had been overlooked. The insurance company had paid out $1.4 million, money that Opaline, Renata, and Carver had split among themselves, money they had used to buy cars, take vacations, fund a lifestyle built on ashes and lies. And Josephine had seen it all, not because they told her, because they assumed she could not understand. They talked in front of me like I was a piece of furniture, she told me later, after we had been reunited properly, after the social workers and the psychologists and the endless interviews. They thought because I was deaf, I was stupid. They didn't know I could read lips. How did you learn? The school, the one Mom sent me to. They forced us to lip read instead of signing. I hated it at first, but then I realized it was a superpower. I could understand people who didn't want me to understand. My brilliant, resilient daughter had turned her oppression into a weapon. The fire, I asked her gently. What did you see? I saw papers, on grandmother's desk, insurance forms and a letter from Carver about something called an accelerant. I didn't know what it meant then, but I remembered the word. And I saw them, celebrating afterward when the money came. Mom was laughing. She said they'd gotten away with it. And Carver? What did he do to you? Josephine was quiet for a long time. He hit me, she finally signed. When Mom wasn't looking. Said I was a burden, said I was lucky anyone put up with me at all. I wanted to find Carver blunt and make him understand what a burden truly felt like. But he was in custody, awaiting trial, and my daughter needed me more than I needed revenge. Why didn't you tell someone? A teacher? A counselor? I tried, once, but they told Mom, and she said I was making it up for attention. After that, no one believed me. She paused. So I waited, and I practiced signing at night so I wouldn't forget, and when I finally got a phone, I sent you the video. How did you get a phone? Stole it from Carver. He left it on the counter one day and I took it and hid it in my room. A small smile crossed her face. He thought he lost it, never suspected me. That was dangerous, Josephine. I know, but I had to try. You were the only one who ever really saw me, Daddy, the only one who learned my language. I knew if anyone would understand, it would be you. I pulled her into another hug. She'd carried this burden for years, had gathered evidence, taught herself to lip read, stolen a phone, composed a message that would bring down an entire criminal conspiracy. All because she believed in me. I was not going to let her down. The trials took most of the following year. Carver Blunt went first. He tried to plea bargain, tried to pin everything on Opaline and Renata, but the evidence was overwhelming. The jury convicted him on all counts in less than 4 hours. 12 years in federal prison for insurance fraud and wire fraud. An additional 8 years for child abuse to be served consecutively. He would be almost 70 when he got out. I hoped every day of those 20 years felt like a lifetime. Opaline was next. She tried. The confused old woman defense claimed she did not understand what Carver and Renata were doing, that she was a victim too. The jury did not believe her. 15 years. At her age, she would probably die in prison. I felt nothing when the verdict came down. No satisfaction, no relief, just emptiness. This woman had looked at my deaf daughter and seen something broken, something to be discarded. She had helped steal 5 years of Josephine's life. 15 years did not seem like enough. Renata's trial was the hardest to watch. She had been my wife, the mother of my child. And now she sat in a defendant's chair, facing charges that could send her away for decades. Her lawyer tried everything. Blamed Opaline for masterminding the scheme. Blamed Carver for the abuse. Portrayed Renata as a victim of circumstances, a mother who had made mistakes but never meant to hurt anyone. Josephine testified. I was not allowed in the courtroom during her testimony, but I watched the recordings afterward. My daughter, now 13, sitting in the witness box, an ASL interpreter beside her, telling the world what she had seen and heard and endured. She was calm, precise, devastating. She described the conversations she had lip-read, the documents she had seen, the way Carver had hurt her, and the way Renata had looked the other way. When the defense attorney tried to suggest that Josephine was confused, that she had misunderstood what she saw, she shut him down with a single sentence. I am deaf, she signed, the interpreter speaking for her. I am not stupid, and I remember everything. Renata was convicted on all counts. 18 years. When the verdict was read, she looked at me for the first time since the trial began. I expected to see anger, hatred, blame. Instead, I saw something like recognition, like she was finally seeing the consequences of every choice she had made. I did not look away, did not flinch, just held her gaze until the bailiffs led her out. Goodbye, Renata. Josephine came home with me, not to the cramped apartment I had been living in, but to a real house, a 3-bedroom place in a quiet neighborhood in Boise, with a backyard and a porch and room for a teenager to grow. I used every penny I had saved, plus a small settlement from a civil suit against Opaline's estate. It was not much, but it was ours. The adjustment was not easy. 5 years is a long time. Josephine had grown up without me, had developed habits and routines I did not recognize. She was withdrawn at first, uncertain, like she was waiting for something bad to happen. But slowly, day by day, she started to trust again. We established routines. Breakfast together every morning, dinner together every night, homework at the kitchen table, movies on weekends, normal things, boring things, the kind of things that families do without thinking about them. For us, they were everything. I enrolled her in a school for the deaf in Boise, a real school, one that celebrated sign language instead of suppressing it, one that saw her deafness not as a disability but as a culture, a community, an identity. She thrived. Within a year, she had friends, activities, a life that looked nothing like the prison she had escaped. She joined the drama club, started learning to paint, even began teaching basic sign language to hearing students who wanted to learn. Daddy, she signed to me one evening, about 18 months after she came home. I have something to tell you. What is it? I'm happy. Such a simple thing. 2 words, but they carried the weight of everything we had been through. I'm happy too, baby, happier than I've ever been. She hugged me then, just held on, like she used to when she was small, before the world tried to tear us apart. I hugged her back and thought about all the years I had lost, all the birthdays I had missed, the milestones I had not witnessed, the everyday moments that other fathers took for granted. I could not get those years back, but I could make sure the years ahead were different, and I intended to make every single one of them count. I still have that video saved on my phone. 17 seconds. The message that changed everything. Sometimes I watch it late at night, when Josephine is asleep and the house is quiet. I watch my daughter's hands move through the signs she had practiced alone in her room, keeping her language alive, keeping me alive in her memory. She could have given up, could have believed the lies her mother told her, could have let them erase me from her life. But she didn't, because she knew, somehow, that I was still out there, that I was still waiting, that I would come for her if she just gave me a chance. That is what faith looks like. Not the kind you find in churches, but the kind that lives between a parent and a child. The kind that survives distance and time, and every lie the world can throw at it. Last week, Josephine asked me something. Daddy, do you think Mom ever loved me? We were sitting on the porch, watching the sunset. I had learned to treasure these moments, the quiet ones, the ones where nothing special was happening but everything felt right. I think she loved you the best way she knew how, I signed back. But some people don't know how to love without conditions, without keeping score. Is that why she gave me up? She didn't give you up, sweetheart. She lost you. There's a difference. Josephine thought about that for a while. I don't hate her, she finally signed. I thought I would, but I don't. I just feel sorry for her. Why? Because she missed all of this. Josephine gestured at the yard, the house, the life we had built. She missed watching me grow up. She missed knowing who I became. And now she's going to spend years in a cell, missing even more. That's very mature of you. I learned it from you. She smiled. You never taught me to hate. You just taught me to sign. I laughed, could not help it. I taught you a lot more than that. I know, but the signing was the important part. It's how I stayed connected to you, how I stayed me. She was right. Language is not just communication. It is identity. It is culture. It is the thread that connects us to the people who matter most. Renata tried to cut that thread, tried to erase me from my daughter's life by taking away the language we shared. She failed. Because my daughter is stronger than anyone gave her credit for. Smarter, braver, more resilient. She survived 5 years of isolation and abuse and came out the other side with her spirit intact. I could not be prouder if I tried. So here's my question for you. What connects you to the people you love? What thread, what language, what bond keeps you together even when the world is trying to pull you apart? Hold on to it. Whatever it is, fight for it. Because the people who love you are counting on that connection, and sometimes it is the only thing that brings them home. Drop a comment and tell me your story. I read every single one. If this touched you, hit like. It takes 1 second and it means the world. And if you want more stories like this, real stories about real people who refuse to give up, subscribe to the channel. We post new stories every week. Hit that notification bell so you never miss one. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is fighting to stay connected to the people they love. Because sometimes 17 seconds can change everything. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.